state funds. When we get expansion, the last few years, we've been doing, like I said earlier, a TANF swap, and we usually use the contractors that had the larger, funding amounts to do that swap. So you all weren't affected by getting these federal dollars, many of you. But now that the bulk of the expansion this time is federal dollars, and also we get the CCDF dollars, so we had to ask everyone to sign the federal certifications this year. So we tried to do this early on. We had everybody to sign federal certs. I think we've gotten all of them from everyone. And maybe some of them we're still waiting on the hard copy, but we've gotten at least a scan copy from everybody. Also, if you choose to receive federal dollars, you're gonna have a DUNS number for everyone. Everybody will have to have a active DUNS number. Now, before in the past, it was like only the nonprofit contractors that had to have a DUNS number, and the public agencies were not required to do so. But in order to get these federal dollars, you have to have your federal certification, documentation done, and you have to have an active DUNS number in place, and it has to be in the SAMS database also. The 2% CCDF dollars that the division has decided to give this to supplement the admin funds that you're getting. Currently, you get like 4% of your total for admin funds for $20,000, whichever is the highest. So, and we've heard, continuously that that's not enough support for the admin, in the admin section. So the secretary has agreed that we could use CCDF dollars to supplement those admin funds. And as a result, these two are federal dollars, which federal dollars carry other audits that you wouldn't normally have with just state dollars. So I think we're gonna send a survey out, and the survey is gonna ask you, do you want these federal dollars or not? Because it's optional whether you get them or not. I know whenever we got the TANF, when we started doing the TANF swap, there were some contractors that did not want to do those additional audits. So they declined doing that TANF swap. So just be aware, aware that if you do choose to receive these funds, the TANF or the CCDF funds, that there will be additional audit requirements that come along with getting these federal dollars. The CCDF funds will be used, they're going to be tracked separately, and they can only be used for certain things. Some of the things include like monitoring and evaluation, professional development, and providing materials for the classrooms. Your budgets, just like the FSRs, you're going to have to identify this separately. And so we're going to ask that you be very detailed in your narratives, so as to what you're doing with these funds, because we have to identify that you're actually using these funds for what has been indicated they can be used for, and communication will be sent out to you all in more detail as to how these CCDF funds can be used. The only thing that in addition, now your regular admin funds that we normally give you can be used for direct services. You can move that money into direct services. But the CCDF funds cannot be used for direct services. They will only be able to be used for the things that you'll get a list from Cindy. She's going to send it out, and the CCDF funds will only be able to be used for those particular items. With the expansion funds are to serve an additional 1,725 children, which will bring our total for this fiscal year to 28,454. And the total net appropriations will be $69.6 million. And that net does not include those CCDF funds. It's just the appropriations that were in the governor's bill. You all remember whenever you get ready to get your extension, even when you get ready to get your current contracts, Janice will send out a spreadsheet spreadsheet to identify what your allocations are. And you use that spreadsheet to do your budget template. The spreadsheet is gonna look a little differently this time because it's gonna have to identify first, in the first column what your direct services is gonna be, then the next column will identify the 2% CCDF admin funds from your current contract. And then the next column will be like your 2% CCDF funds from the expansion. Because the current contracts had already gone out, whenever the secretary said we could give you these CCDF funds, we decided we would add them when we did the expansion. So you're gonna get this time 4% in CCDF funds, 2% from your current contract, and 2% from the expansion, and then you're gonna get your 4% from the expansion that you would normally have gotten, and then the total. Y'all get that? Okay, so normally what you would have gotten would show what your direct services are, then it would show your admin, that 4%, and then it would give you a total. But because the secretary said that they were gonna give you the 2% CCDF funds, she said she was gonna give them to you for the 2% that you missed with your current contracts that started July 1. Okay, so she's gonna go back and give you that. That's gonna be that first column that says current contract, 2% CCDF. Okay, so then you would normally get your 4% with your expansion. She's gonna give you another 2% CCDF in CCDF funds with the expansion as well.
So just for the expansion amount?
She's gonna give it to you for your expansion amount and the 2%. You should have gotten 6% in admin funds for your current contract, the July 1 contracts, but you only got 4%. So she's gonna. You have them. We did them like in January, and then you signed off on them like in between April and June, so you have them. So when the decision was made to give you the 2% CCDF, those contracts were already out. And so we knew we were gonna get the expansion funds, so we were gonna add the 2% that you didn't get in your current contracts and CCDF funds now. Then we're gonna give you the 2% that you would normally get with your expansion now also. So you're gonna get 4% in CCDF and then 4% in state funds or TANF funds, whichever, however it ends up. You all follow me? It's gonna be 8% this time. This time, right, this time. Okay, so whenever you get ready, so this time that's what it's gonna look like.
If we say we don't.
And if you choose not to get it, and you only want the direct services and the 4%, you can do that.
What if we don't ask for expansion funds?
Okay, you don't have, you've always had that option. You can decline this expansion funds altogether.
I guess what, maybe she's thinking what I'm thinking, if we don't ask for expansion slots.
Slots, yes.
Okay, so if you don't want expansion slots, so you ask me, can you still get your admin? Yes.
6%.
Not 8%. You can get 2% from your current contract, because that other 2% goes along with it. You decide you want expansion funds.
Okay, so all of this additional stuff is only if we want expansion slots, if we want additional choices.
Right.
Okay.
Except for the first 2%. You don't have it yet.
They have the amount though, right?
They have the amount that's not put in their contract yet, so they're gonna have to say that they want that 2% from the current contract. Still not clear?
Can we see if we understand back here? So we're getting 4% of our contract amount for the admin, as normal.
Right,
Then 2% of the quality money,
right,
and 2% of expansion. So not a true 8% of your total, it's just a 4%, a 2%, and a 2%.
right. The first
But that's not your
2%,
total
like,
2%.
if we had known in the beginning, when we did your contracts that start July 1, that we were gonna get the CCDF dollars, you would have gotten 6% in admin. It would have been 2% CCDF and 4%, state dollars. But because we didn't know it then, we're giving it to you now in that second column.
I guess I didn't realize we got.
Yeah, you always get 4%, you either get 4% or 20,000.
I thought it was an expansion.
Never mind.
Are you all clear? Because I need you all to be clear on this, because it's gonna make a difference when you get ready to do your budget.
So I actually want to make sure I understand, so.
Can you just bring the mic so everybody can hear? All right, now listen.
Okay, so the counties that have been notified that they are eligible to receive the CCDF funding, you're saying that those counties, in addition to the CCDF funding for the quality activities, there's gonna be an additional 2% for admin funds? That's how I'm hearing it.
Okay, the quality and the CCDF fund, that's the same thing, we're talking about the same thing. So what we're talking about is different, is your current contract, from July 1 to June 30th, the one that you just got back, okay? And then we're gonna have an expansion contract where the governor is giving you additional dollars that will likely start maybe September, okay? All right, so for your current contract, you got your regular direct services, and then you got admin funds. And your admin funds have always been like 4% or $20,000, whichever is greater. Okay, so at the time that we did your current contracts, all you got was your direct services and that 4% or the $20,000. Okay, so after those contracts went out, the secretary said, we're gonna give them, they said they don't have enough money in admin, so we're gonna give them 2% more in CCDF quality dollars, 2% more. So your contracts had already gone out, and you didn't get that 2%. So now we're gonna add that 2% to your expansion contract, to your amendment. In addition to that 2%, we're gonna give you your regular expansion direct services. We're gonna give you your regular 4% of that total, and then we're gonna give you another 2% to make 6% for expansion. So you got 6% in your current contract for admin, and so this will give you 6% also in your expansion contract.
Got it.
You got it? Okay, so you all can decide. Now, some people, if you see where there's blanks, where there's nothing there, if you got $20,000, you already got probably 6%. So that's why it's blank, because you won't be given CCDF dollars for your current contract. And I think that was explained in Janet's email when she sent you out the spreadsheet showing you what your allocations would be for your current contract. But you will be able to get the 2% if you choose to get expansion. Okay?
But when you say expansion, everybody's getting the 2% CCDF admin fund, whether or not we get slot expansion money?
You're gonna get it for your current contract. If you did not get $20,000,
Yes.
you would get it for your current contract. Unless you tell us you don't want it.
Okay. So
Okay.
everybody's eligible for that.
Right.
So have you sent out those amendments?
No, all of it's going in the same amendment package. That's why I wanna make sure you all understand what I'm saying. All of it's gonna go in the same.
Additional slots, then we're only going to get this 2% amendment.
Exactly.
Okay.
And why, so talk a little more about the auditing. You were saying that if the contractor accepts the federal funds, these TANF funds for expansion and the CCDF funds for the quality activities, the additional auditing requirements. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Only thing I can tell you is that there are additional audit requirements that come with federal dollars. Your finance person may be able to give you more information about that, but there are additional audits that come with receiving federal dollars. Okay, so you might want to check, and I think that even the communication that's going to be sent out to you references that and tells you to make sure you look into it before you choose to accept these dollars. Okay.
Now, when you were talking additional.
All your
students for
CCDF money.
Okay.
Is everybody clear? Okay, all right. Okay, so again, whenever you fill out your budget template for me, you can realign those admin funds and use them as direct services, but which ones you can't use for direct services? Okay, so that regular 4% column, you can move all that into direct services if you don't want to use it for admin, if you don't need it. But the CCDF cannot be realigned, okay? And if there are funds that you cannot use, that you don't want, and you're gonna revert them back, we just need you to put it in your email that this extra $100, we can't use it, we don't need it. Because if you just leave it off, I won't know whether it was just an oversight or whether you need to revert it. So if you're trying to revert it back, just put in your email, we can't use this extra $100 and we're reverting it back, and then we can see if somebody else can use those dollars, okay? This is what your budget template is gonna look like now. You're gonna have one for NC Pre-K, and you're gonna wanna, it's gonna be all in one book, but it's gonna have tabs at the bottom. These first two tabs are gonna be for the NC Pre-K and line item budget, and then the NC Pre-K FTE worksheet. The second one is gonna be for the CCDF and the CCDF worksheet. At the top, you're gonna see NC Pre-K, and at the top for the CCDF, it's gonna have CCDF up there. So whenever you're filling out your budget templates, make sure you put your CCDF line items on the right one and the NC Pre-K one on the right one. And I need you to be very thorough on your budget narratives and explaining how these funds are going to be used. We've talked about this before, about the fields that are locked. There's some fields that are locked on the budget template, and sometimes I get phone calls saying, we can't enter any data, we can't enter anything on this template because it won't allow us. Well, some fields are locked, like the blue fields are gonna be locked, and that information is gonna transfer over whenever you do your FTE worksheet. So when you go down to that bottom tab and click on FTE worksheet and fill out your FTE worksheet, the information in the red square is gonna transfer over here. And that's because the information in this box must always match what's in that box. And sometimes when we get the FTE worksheet, this information here will be different. Whenever I look at the line item, it will be something totally different. So we had to lock those fields and let it automatically transfer because it should be the same. When you enter in your FTEs, this field where I have it circled in red, the FTEs can only be 5 digits, which will include the decimal. When we enter this information into our contract database, it will only take the first 5 digits. So if you all use 10 digits, whenever I get ready to put it in the database, I'm getting a totally different answer than what you got. And I can't manipulate the database the way you all can manipulate a spreadsheet. So this field here, no matter how many digits you put in there, it's only gonna calculate against the first 5 digits. So there's a formula in there that will only calculate against the first 5 digits so that we will get the same answer that you all get. Partnerships can only, partnerships, when you're filling out the budget template, partnerships can, for the direct services, the partnerships will use the subcontracting line. Down here at the bottom, C, subcontracting and grants and direct services. But if you're a public school, you can use both 11G for direct services, and you can also use the subcontracted line. So just make sure that whenever you fill out the template that you put your direct services on the correct line, because sometimes if you don't, and I miss it or Melba misses it, whenever you get ready to use those funds to send in your FSR, you may have to end up doing a budget revision to move those funds to the correct line. So just make sure that you put it on the correct line. Partnerships have to subcontract out. Public schools can either provide the direct services themselves or subcontract or do both. Okay, so now I want to talk about the budget narratives. How many of you have been doing, who does the budgets in here now? How many of you do the budgets for your agency? How many of you have been doing them for at least 5 years? 4 years? This is the first year? Okay. Somebody's been doing it for at least 5 years. Can you tell me what you should include in your budget narratives? If it's an HR person, if you put it in staff, what should that narrative include? Just the components?
Your name, the title, whether it's full-time, part-time, how many hours.
You need to have their name and their title, and what kind of work they're doing. So a lot of the work that we all know we're doing, if it's assisting the committee and recruiting new providers, like as much detail as you can, really, about the work that you're doing.
What about if it's a regular line item like travel, supplies?
Right, so if it's travel, who's doing the travel? If I work for an agency that I'm the only NCPK employee, but I know there's a lot here that maybe there's multiple. And so how much travel is being incurred by each position? And what's the travel for? Is it for monitoring? Is it for meetings? And what's the estimated amount of travel that's expected? Again, details.
Thank you. Very good. We need those type of details in order for us to be able to determine whether the amount that you're putting in there is reasonable. So if you put, like if you're gonna just get laptops or iPads and you just put in there iPads and $2,000, I don't know how many iPads you're getting. I don't know how much they cost. I don't know what they're gonna be used for. I don't know who's using them. So I have no way of determining whether that cost is reasonable. Nor does the general public, because when we put these contracts in our database, they can be viewed by the general public. So we have to have all the details, and we have to have all the details. We need to know the staff person's name. We need to know, like she said, a brief description of their duties. If it's other funds on a different line, we need to know who those funds are being utilized by. We need support calculations so that we can determine whether these funds, the cost is reasonable or not. And it's especially important now that you do that. I mean, it was always important. Once you all went from being purchase and service contracts to financial assistance, that's when we had to start providing the detailed narratives. Before, when it was purchase and service, all you had to do was give the totals. You didn't have to provide a narrative like this now. But with the CCDF funds, you have to be very thorough so that we can determine that, make sure that you're using it for those designated reasons that you're going to be provided. But you also have to do it for those regular NCPK dollars as well. And this is just some sample narratives. Like she said, the NCPK coordinator is the job title, Jane Doe is a person, and then you state duties as it relates to that person's duties as it relates to the NCPK. And if you have like a temporary staff person that somebody contracted, and you put them on that other line, you have to provide like the number of hours they'll be working and the cost and what they're being paid per hour. Like this accountant tech will be paid $10 per hour for a total of 200 hours. If you just put accountant tech up there and then an amount, we have no way of knowing how many hours that accountant tech will be working or how much that person will be paid per hour. So we just ask for you to please be conscious of giving those details Sometimes I could fill in some of the gaps, but now someone new is gonna be doing this. So we wanna make sure that you all kind of be mindful, make sure you make these narratives as thorough as you can. For the direct services, narrative and the subcontracting and grants, direct service narratives, the only information that we need here is funds budgeted for the contractor to provide direct services for X amount of eligible children. Sometimes you all may give like calculations as to how you came up with that amount. We don't need those calculations in your narrative for these two narratives here. You want to keep that information yourself for your supporting information if anybody asks, or doing monitoring or something if you're asked. But as a part of that budget template, this is all your narrative needs to state. And we need to make sure that you indicate the number of children, because this is where we pull that number from to put in your contract. So the narratives should only read funds budgeted for contractors to provide direct services to X amount of eligible children. Okay? Oh, my whole thing? Oh no. Okay, she just told me I have 5 minutes. I haven't even gotten to the NCPK plan part. Y'all messed me up with that CCDF. Okay, for the public and private contractors, okay, in January when you did your current contract, this is when you sent in the authorization form saying who would sign the contract, and the authorization form for who would sign your FSRs. Okay, when you get ready to do your expansion contracts, if the persons in those two capacities have changed, because this was done like back in January, we ask you to resubmit that documentation so that when we do your expansion contracts, we will have the correct person's name on that contract to sign the contract. Whenever we send out the budget templates, I will give you a deadline to send it back. I usually give, a week to 2 weeks for you to do those budget templates. It's okay for you to go on and do it as soon as you get that email. You don't have to wait until my deadline to start working on it, okay? Because that will allow me time to review it. If I have any questions, it'll give you plenty of time to make those corrections, and it'll allow us time to make sure that your contract is executed on time as we get those templates back in a timely manner. Everything that we send you, whenever you get that spreadsheet from Janice giving you your allocation, she's gonna send you a budget template as well. And she's gonna send you sample budgets. All this stuff I have her attached to her email. Everything that we attach to that email is also gonna be on the NCPK website. So if you don't do it as soon as you get the email and you can't find your email, you can always go to the website, pull down the budget template, instructions, and the sample budget, okay? NCPK plan. We got some hot news. We got a new NCPK manager, Melba Harry. Oh, y'all real happy? Y'all happy with them?
Yeah, Melba.
No, she's very good. She's real easy to work with. So,